Alright, so what are we doing today?
We're gonna do a low drop fade with like a V shape in the back.
Okay.
It's kind of like, let me see if I can pull it up like this.
And it looks like you want to keep a lot of this length on top.
Yeah, just like a little trim on top, maybe like 2 inches maybe off.
Okay.
And it's good.
And then you want to fade on the sides down to, it looks like a 0 or skin down the
yeah,
sides.
like a 0. You could even do like a 1 if it makes sense.
Yeah, whatever you want. You can go as low as you want. And then you want more of a V shape in
Yeah.
the back? Okay, sounds.
What's going on YouTube? This is Alex with House of Shades Barbershop, and this is the before the haircut. And this is the after, and I'm going to show you step by step how we did this haircut in this video. So I'm going to start this haircut off by starting with the top by wetting it down with some water, and I usually like to show the clients before I make the first cut on top by showing them the mirror. And then once I make that cut, I'm going to step to the side, because that way it's a little bit easier for me to find that guide working from the front to the back. And once I got that guide established going all the way down the center, then I'm going to use that guide to trim the rest of the hair. Once I got the top cut, I'm going to start with the number 4 to debulk on the sides. I usually like to debulk the sides if it's been a long time since the client's last haircut. It does 2 things. It keeps me from taking the fade way too high, and it also makes it easier once you start to actually do the fading on the sides. It's easier to see what you're doing once you get all that long hair out of the way. And especially with this type of cut where we're trying to preserve a lot of that length to blend into the top, I wanted to make sure I debulked first so that I don't take the fade too high. This is one of my favorite techniques for blending short hair into long hair. It's called clipper over comb, and this is a great thing to do when you're going from really short hair into really long hair. So I like to use clipper over comb to tie the sides into the top. So now that we got a lot of that bulk out of the way, I'm going to start with my number 1 guard, just keeping it really low and just making my first guideline just above the ears and dipping it down in the back. Once I finish making the first guideline with the 1 closed, I'm going to open up the lever and go up about another 1/4 inch to make that next guideline. And the next step, I'm just going to take my number 2 guard and go up about another 1/4 to 1/2 inch to create the next guideline to fade into. There's almost always going to be a line between the 1 open and the 2 closed, and that's where this 1.5 guard comes in. It's going to help really knock that line out that's left in the middle. Now I'm going to work with my number 3 guard and take that fade up just a little bit higher and start trying to blend it in with that number 4 guard. So now most of that fade's pretty much done, and I'm going to start really focusing on this ridge around the client's head, and I'm back working with the number 4 and doing some clip over comb to try to blend that in without losing a lot of that length. I switched to my shears for this step because I was afraid of taking too much off with the clippers. I feel like the shears give you a lot more control in how much you're taking off. And if you accidentally cut too much with the shears, it's a little bit easier to fix than if you do it with the clippers. So I'm really trying to keep a lot of that length on the side, so as I switched to my shears to really fine tune it. I'm going to work with the number 5 now just to really tie in the sides, because I feel like anytime I do clip over comb or shear work, it ends up looking really choppy. So I like to follow it back up with guards to really smooth everything out. So now that I got the majority of the debulking and blending done, I'm now switching my focus into really detailing the haircut. So basically all I'm going to do is do all the same steps that I already did, but in reverse order. So starting with the 4, down to the 3, down to the 2, working all the way back down to the 1, because this is kind of like cross-checking throughout, like you would do with on the top with shears. but with clippers on the sides, and it really helps smooth out the blend when you do this. So to taper the back of the client's neck, the first thing I'm going to do is create a guideline with my trimmers, and then I'm going to take my clippers with the lever open, create the next guideline, close it up, fade down. This process is pretty simple because she's already got the number 1 on the sides, so there wasn't a whole lot of blending to do here. So now that we got most of the blending done, we're going to go ahead and start detailing the client's hairline, and I almost always start in this exact spot anytime I do a hairline. So this client asked for pointed sideburns, or sometimes called ice pick sideburns, where you go a little bit further into the hairline and give that sideburn a more pointed shape. On this side of the client's hairline, I did a little bit of a different technique for the sideburns. I started at the top, and then I started a guide at the bottom, and then I met in the middle. I think I did this because I was working on my weak side, which is her left side, and it just helps me to do this whenever I'm working on a side that I'm not as strong with. In this step, I'm just going to use my thinning shears to go around that crown area just to take a little bit of the weight out of that. Now that we got most of the haircut done, I'm going to use my razor and a hot towel to clean up the back of the client's neck and around the hairline. This is an Irving razor that I'm using. For neck shaves, I normally use hot lather, but I really wanted to see where the client's hair was, especially around the sideburn area, so instead I'm going to use a clear shaving gel for this step. Now it's time to style the client's hair. So the first thing I'm going to do is dry it out, because the pomade that we use from Gibbs is water soluble. So if I put it in the client's hair when the hair is soaking wet, then it's just going to fall apart. So you definitely got to dry the hair out a lot before you put any water soluble products in the client's hair. So this was before the haircut, and this is the after. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.